Sheesh. All right. So overall, like yesterday, we had the Fed speaking. The Feds basically said that they see progress in the overall economy. COVID fears isn't a major issue right now, and he's actually seeing some progress with the economy moving forward. So that's basically why the SPY didn't basically make a major drop yesterday. So people are still going to digest to see what happened, what he actually said, and what does this mean going forward. Because a lot of times he does say stuff, and then we realize, hey, it may not be what he's saying. So let's see what happens going forward. What we're looking at with the overall market is we want to see that the SPY break this 440.36 before we go to 441. Or if we break that 439, the break of the trade line over here, we could start basically dropping down towards 437. A few other stocks we want to watch is Facebook. Facebook basically had earnings yesterday, and it was basically reported that, hey, they beat earnings, but their outlook was a little bit weaker than expected, meaning that they don't foresee major revenue growth in the future. So Facebook actually dropped, I think, over $18, bounced off the SMA on the 20-day, and now we're starting to basically come back up. So I want to see a break of 364, 364.50 before we start going up towards 369. You can see this area was a support before, was a resistance, was a previous breakout area. So that 364.50 should basically be a good entry point for a long position until we get to that 369. If not, we start to come back down and reject this trade line over here. I think we could start dropping down from 359 down towards that SMA line, and then maybe even lower. But right now the RSI is a little bit more on the oversold side. MACD looks like it wants to cross over, so definitely want to keep an eye on Facebook, especially if it starts to get above that 365 level, which is also going to be above the 180-day trade line. So we could start looking for bullish plays on that one. Next one I want to talk about is Apple. So Apple's another one that reported earnings, but it really wasn't what people were expecting. So Apple, we want to watch it to see if it breaks that 145.70. Then we could start getting up to 146, maybe even retesting that 150. If not, we're still below that trade line, confirming the stock is still bearish. We might want to see another break from 145 down here, down towards that 142.70. So that's Apple. And then I want to talk about Tesla. Actually, Tesla came out with some news this morning. They actually have Tesla Day. I think that's coming out on the 16th of August. Definitely want to double check that as well too. But I think a break of 659, which was a previous resistance. We're sitting at 648 right now. MACD looks like it wants to cross over. RSI is basically indecisive in the middle over here. So that break of 659 towards that 666, which has been a previous level of support and resistance for the stock for a long period of time. And then if we start to come back down, I think on the break of 646.28, we could start retesting that 637, maybe even going lower. RSI has the indication to do either or, drop or go up on both 20-day and 180-day. Over here, we're fighting the 20-day SMA line. So we need to see if we start to stay above that 650 level and start going up towards the 60s and higher. If not, I think we could see some downside on Tesla if it doesn't hold up over here. Next one I want to talk about is Boeing. So Boeing had earnings previously as well too. You can see they actually had a nice spike off of earnings. But if you jump over towards the 180-day chart, they're actually fighting the SMA over here at that 235. But it's been above that trade line. So let's see, it's a little bit more on the overbought side. Let's see if it breaks that 235.70 and we start pushing it to 241. Make sure you set your alerts. If not, we need to break 230 and we could start dropping down to 226 on Boeing. So I have my alerts set for either side on Boeing. Other than that, a few other stocks we want to talk about. PayPal had earnings yesterday. They missed. I think they didn't miss that bad. So they actually beat, but it wasn't, their expectations weren't as good as what people expected. You can see that the stock basically dropped hard, basically dropped to like 275 from that 294 level. So that's a big drop. We want to watch to see if it bounces from these levels. It's fighting that 180-day SMA, which could act as a resistance. So if we jump over towards the 20-day chart, I think PayPal could actually have a possible bounce at 288 up towards that 294. So I definitely got my alert set from that, since it's very oversold on both the 100 on the 20-day and the 180-day. We're both oversold over here. So definitely want to keep an eye on PayPal. Want to keep an eye on Uber as well. Uber is another one that's not doing too well. Basically, they had earnings. Actually, they're going to have earnings. They basically took a drop. What's the reason? Looking at the news for after. All right, SoftBank plans to basically sell their stake in Uber. So that's basically a key investor in Uber that's basically dropping the stock. I looked at it, it came across the scanners. So that could be some negative news that could basically still bring some downside to the stock. So watch for that break of 43 over here, 43.17. It is very oversold, but with this news being so fresh, we may see some more downside. So on the break of 43, we could possibly drop down towards like 39 over here. Nice little gap down from 43 all the way down towards 39. So definitely want to see if that happens. It's been more oversold before, as you can see over here. So definitely want to be cautious. It's very oversold. So if we start to bounce, we could start bouncing from like 44, maybe hit 45 on the bounce, since it's oversold on both 20-day and 180-day. Next one I want to talk about is QCOM. So QCOM actually beat earnings as well. You can see it spiked up, hit a high of 147. So definitely going to keep QCOM on the watch list. Let me get rid of some of these lines over here. Keep QCOM on the watch list. We hit a high of 147.50 over here. If we break that, we could start going up towards like 149. If we start coming back down, I think the trade line is sitting over here at 144. Once we break 144, we could start coming down towards like 142, maybe even testing at 137, 138. Remember, a lot of these stocks this week, they've been basically beating the ones that are actually having good news. They've been beating and coming back down, kind of like what happened with Tesla. So definitely want to watch to see if it continues to hold above this 20-day trade line at 145. Then we could start coming back down towards 144 and maybe even lower. I want to talk about BABA. BABA basically is easing on Chinese trade. So a lot of these Chinese stocks are bouncing this morning as well. So we're going to keep an eye out for that. BABA does have resistance at 205, very overbought on the 20-day. And then it's approaching overbought levels on the 180-day. So I think we need to basically break above that 205 before we can start pushing up towards at least 210, which is basically the 180-day SMA. If not, and we start to come back down, we have the trade line sitting at 195, and then we could start coming back down towards like 190, which was a support level over here. So watch out for BABA. And I think the last one I want to talk about today is going to be Amazon. So Amazon actually has earnings today. I think it's after hours. Has an expected move of $108. So meaning it could go up $108 or it could basically drop $108. So definitely want to keep Amazon on watch today as well, since it has such a huge expected move. So definitely want to watch to see if it starts to hold above that $3,641. Then we could start testing the highs over here. If not, we could start coming back down on the break of $577. And we could start touching that $3,501. So watch out for that. Amazon seems to be poised to have a crazy move today. Other than that, keep an eye on the overall market. The SPY is trying to be strong and hold above both trade lines on the 20-day and the 180-day over here. If we look at the NASDAQ over here, NASDAQ is trying to basically make higher lows and higher highs over here. Let me just get my trend line. You can see over here, we're basically making like an upwards wedge over here, basically possibly ascending triangle pattern. So we definitely want to see if we basically start to break out towards these levels and retest these highs, especially if Amazon beats earnings. I think that could bring the market in better standards. If not, I think basically we could start pulling back from here. So we want to keep the overall market in check. See what stocks you have. TLRY and AMC. Let's go. All right. TLRY and AMC. So TLRY monster bounce yesterday as well too. They had earnings. I think they had reported better than expected earnings as well. So you definitely want to keep this in watch, especially since it's a huge bounce. And it was on a descending pattern. One thing I do like right now, it's above the SMA, it's above the trade line. So that's where it needs to stay in order for upward trend. So we made a high of 1707, which was a previous high before. Once we break 1707, we can start pushing up to 1746. maybe even up to that 18 level. If not, the stock is very overbought right now. So even though it beat earnings, I do think there's possibility for downside over here. We're struggling to hold above the SMA, so that's what we want to watch. We want to see if it continues to hold above that SMA. The SMA can act as support over here on the 180 day. If not, and we basically start to come down from that 1649, we could possibly start to short it down towards these 1555 levels, which is also the 180-day trade line, and it was a previous support level over here. I think the next one and the last one we'll cover today is going to be AMC. So AMC, I hear a lot of people talking about AMC that it should bounce in August, but let's look what the chart's saying. We're basically having support over here. One thing it is making, it's making higher lows and higher highs. So we want to see if it basically looks to break that $41 level. Once we break $41, we can start pushing up towards 45, which was a resistance level over here. If not, and we start to come back down, a break of 35.80 over here. Let me just throw my support line over here, 35.80, which was a resistance. It's a support, break of 35.80. We can start dropping down towards 30. Very tight levels on AMC. Not too much huge moves right now. The volume does come in and go out, so definitely want to be cautious with that one. But make sure you guys keep an eye on the SPY. Make sure you guys keep an eye on the overall market. It does look like we're trying to stay strong. MACD is crossed down right now, so on the 180 day. So definitely want to be cautious with our long positions until that crosses back up. If you guys, that's pretty much it. So I'll see you guys in the chat room. Hopefully you guys all have a green day. And that's it. Later.
Thanks, bro. Bye.
Bye.